In your presentation, you had some pretty crazy ideas. How did these thoughts come into your head?
I don't know, I just thinking about art. As I've kind of tried different projects over the years, I've tried to really change around and expand my ideas of what could be art. And so it's really a process of experimenting and thinking about different things. For instance, the one project I did that had lots of bananas, I thought, based on something I saw in a market one day, I thought, wow, if I took something like that and moved it into an art space, it would be something really, really wild. So it's really, sometimes you just get inspiration from different things that you wouldn't expect.
So your project with bananas, I mean, you piled them in a heap on Trafalgar Square.
Yep.
Can you tell us a bit more about this?
Well, basically, I used to live in Ecuador in South America, which is the country that is, I think, the #1 producer of bananas in the world. And when I was there one day, I saw in a roadside market a giant mountain of bananas that people had basically brought from the coast to the city I was living in and dumped them in this big pile so people could buy them. And it was really, really something crazy to look at, not something you'd ever see in a place like New York, where I'm from. And I had one of those moments where I thought, wow, if I took something like that and moved it from a place where it's every day to a place where no one's ever seen that, it could be something really exciting. So I decided to try that, and eventually I wound up doing that in Trafalgar Square, where it looked really, really wild.
Now, in your art, like in the bananas and in your kebab man, what were you trying to show to the public?
Well, for the kebab thing in particular, basically it's quite a serious piece. It looks silly and it looks like a joke, but I wanted to look at the whole tradition of sculpture, because where I come from, I made that piece in New York as opposed to here in London, where kebabs are considered Greek food. And if you remember from my talk, I was talking quite a bit about classical Greek art. So in a way, making a sculpture that looked a bit like a classical sculpture using a traditional Greek food gave me a way to kind of comment on the sculptural tradition in a way that I think is funny, but also quite serious as it relates to the history of art. And basically, I wanted to talk a bit about vanity in the art world, because I made a sculpture of my own image, but out of something that is not going to last. It's going to fall apart. So in a way, it's looking at art as something that tries to celebrate things, but also inherently can't, because it ultimately does fall apart. And in that way, I was talking a bit about sculpture as a type of vanity that ultimately is kind of impossible. If that makes sense.
Now, I know you've done a few more pieces of art.
Sure.
But which piece of your art are you most proud of?
I hope it's the one I'm about to do, because I'm about to do something really ambitious. I want to go to Africa and make a movie in which I'm starring as the lead, which will be a bit crazy because, basically I'm not African. So I think I'm going to stand out.